Abhilash, you can start. We are live.
Okay, sir. So, hello everyone, and a very warm good afternoon to one and all present here. I'm Abhilash Biswas of IT branch, 6th semester, and I would like to welcome you all to the second Code Utsava Tech Talk. Before we begin, a little foreground about Code Utsava. So, Code Utsava 5.0 is an event being organized by the Turing Club of Programmers, the official coding club of NIT Raipur. It aims to foster and nurture invigorating coding culture among the students of the institutes through its mentorship programs, workshops, and along with several other events, including the annual event Code Utsava. Students from all over India can take part in this event, attend workshops, participate in the hackathon, and various other coding related activities which are organized under this event. You'll so Also, the hackathon is going to be organized on 26th of Feb, and the last date is 23rd Feb. And you guys have a chance of winning alluring prizes of worth 8 lakh rupees. So make sure you don't miss this once in a lifetime opportunity. Moving on, today we have with us two very enigmatic personalities and the pride of NIT Raipur, Shruti Rawal ma'am and Kaushik Mishra sir. So about Shruti Rawal ma'am, she has had a wonderful track record. She is an ex-Adobe intern and has received offers from companies like InfoEdge, Microsoft, and of course Atlassian. On the other hand, we have Kaushik Mishra sir, who has not only made his mark within the country, but has also been recruited by Meta London. Apart from that, he is an ex-GE healthcare intern and has had offers from Paytm and Amazon as well. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over the session to Shruti ma'am, followed by Kaushik sir, to share their experiences about hackathons. So over to you, Shruti ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Abhilash, and thank you everyone for joining this stream. So, I guess talking about hackathons, one thing that Kaushik will also agree with me is that throughout our journey, our experience with hackathon is something that has helped us a lot. Talking about interviews, see, the main part of interviews, apart from technical, there is this managerial behavioral round of interviews where the experiences that you've had while participating in hackathons is something that comes really handy, because there you have to talk about real life challenges that you faced, and that is something that you won't get unless you actually get your hands dirty, try projects and stuff. So hackathon, I feel, is really a good platform for that. Talking about my journey for hackathons, so I kind of started participating in hackathons while I was in second year, I guess. So from then onwards, I started practicing Android development and then participating in several competitions. So I started with Vigyan, which is actually a science exhibition conducted by Team Technocracy in our college. So that was the part where I started, and then I moved on to Code Utsav. So Code Utsav actually for like last year SIH. Well, by the way, SIH is actually the Smart India Hackathon that is conducted by the government of India. So there, basically, all the state governments, all the central governments, and a lot of institutions, a lot of organizations like TCS, they submit their problem statements, and then students like us are expected to hustle through those problem statements and develop meaningful solutions. So last year actually, they changed the pattern, and for that, basically, for being eligible to participate in SIH, you have to be a college winner. So in our case, the hackathon, which decides, is Code Utsav, that is organized by TCP. So basically, in this entire journey, you need to participate in a team of up to 6 people. Basically, you have to select a problem statement, you have to work on that, you have to build your product, and then if you end up winning Code Utsav, then you'll get a chance to visit SIH as well. So I think Kaushik would like to take up forward about SIH from you.
Yeah, so SIH was like a really interesting period of my life. The period when I was practicing, I mean, when I was preparing for SIH, right? So I was also a domain winner in Code Usaba 4.0, right? And similarly, I was also a winner in Vigyan, right? Vigyan, I think it was 2019, Shruti. Yeah,
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 correct.
it was 2019. Yeah, I was also a winner in Began 2019. It was organized when I was in second year, right? After that, after we are done with Code Utsava, we have to like pitch a idea, right? Pitch our solution to the organizers. So in SIH, what happens is that there are multiple organizations, like really reputed organization, and some really good government PSUs as well, such as, even for example, ISRO is there, GE Healthcare is also there, AWS is also there, I guess Cisco is also there. And these organizations give so my organization was Airport Authority of India, right? And they provide problem statements to the SIH, right? Now you have to choose that problem statement, right? And you have to pitch an idea, pitch a solution for that particular problem, right? In a simple PPT, right? It was should be a 2 to 3 page long PPT. I mean, it really depends upon the format, but as far as I remember, mine was like 3 pages only, right? Where you have to discuss all the requirements and give a necessary solution to the problem, right? After that, they will select like 5 teams out of any number of teams that have uh, submitted their proposal for that particular problem, and they will call them to a nodal center. So my nodal center was, I think it was, I don't exactly remember. It was online. I think it was Banaras, right? It was Banaras. So there I had to, and they will conduct a 3 day long hackathon, right? It was somewhere around yeah, I think 72-hour hackathon. I don't remember the exact timelines. So there we had to kind of create the prototype, right? Whatever we have sent as a proposal in our initial PPT, we have to create a prototype for it, and that's really it. And they will decide a solution. The level of competition that I've seen in Smart India Hackathon is like really great, right? I have also participated in some other hackathons, but I think Smart India Hackathon really stands out for me, particularly because I think all the teams are really experienced, and all the like projects are really great, right? Yeah,
Definitely. SIH was actually a great experience, both in terms of
yeah,
networking and in terms of the kind of projects that we were working on. The problem statements were
yeah,
like
yeah,
really impactful. One thing that I'd like
yeah.
to point out here about SIH and specifically in general about hackathons is that when we're actually working on projects, on personal projects, when we're learning, we usually try to, develop simple stuff, simple websites, simple apps, just to so that we get to know how things work. But when we actually go to a hackathon, we get to work on a problem statement that is a real life situation, that is actually a problem,
Hmm,
and then develop solution for it. So that is
hmm,
something that helps us a lot during interviews as well, and in general for you, for us, for our development as well. Like in interviews, usually discussions happen around what on the kind of project that actually solves some real life problems. So those are
yeah,
actually projects around which discussions happen usually.
yeah.
So I
And all
feel that
the
hackathons.
hmm,
Mhm.
all the problems that are given in SIH are real life problems, right? I mean,
Mhm.
these are challenging problems that are being faced by these companies and these organizations. So I mean, it's a really interesting format, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It was
Definitely.
a really big project as well. Generally, what happens is whenever we make a project, it's kind of small in case of a hackathon, because there is uh,
Limited
definitely
time frame.
a limited time frame, right? So you cannot build like everything within that time frame. But the problem statement that I was working on was really big, right? Which includes uh, implementing the whole hierarchy of the organization, right? Under my problem statement, right? Of Director General of Civilization. I will not go into the specifics because it will be really boring, right?
So yeah, my project was also kind of similar. It was a big thing. You have to do a lot of things. That it was just
Yeah.
like actually all the problem statements of SIH for that matter, they require you to be very done, like very thorough with your solution. You need to add
Hmm.
as many features as you can, and it should be as
Yeah.
comprehensive as it can be. So
Yeah.
that is actually the format of SIH, and I personally believe that yes, if you're getting a chance to go into SIH, you should definitely give it a chance.
Yeah. Sure. For sure.
So in our college, I guess we go through Codoserve as we mentioned. So
Yeah.
I'd really suggest all my juniors to, just participate in participate in code. It doesn't matter whether you win or whether you lose. It's always better to grab
Yeah.
an opportunity and just get your hands on. Just see
Hmm.
how it goes. It's like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. By the way, hackathon is never really about winning, right? It's always about getting a
Mm.
hands-on experience with the framework. You have to always be, I mean, there should be a mentality of taking up challenges, right? We always have to, generally, the companies look for great problem solvers, right? And you have to be challenge driven to be, to be, uh, to be succeed, right? So, yeah, so it's really important to take part in happiness. It's a really interesting experience, to be very honest with you. I mean, you
Actually,
have
it's
there is so
more of
much
a learning.
adrenaline going through your body while you are participating in hackathon. You have to like you will not get to sleep for like 3 days or so. So it's really hectic. Yeah,
And it
it
will be
really
all worth
tests your
it.
limits. Yeah,
It will
it's
be
all
all
worth
worth
it.
it.
It's all worth it. Yeah, at
It's
the end of the day.
definitely what, like, you will actually enjoy working with your friends, working with your teammates, working on any problem statement that
Hmm.
you're passionate about, listening to judges' remarks, listening to their
Yeah,
suggestions, trying to
yeah.
incorporate things.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
and
is something that
always
is very.
I have seen that always the judges comes up with something that is completely out of the box that is never really done before, right? And it really makes things really interesting. You have to keep upgrading your solution as long as you go, right? So it's I feel it's amazing, right? Uh, yeah,
Definitely. The dynamic nature of hackathon is something that has always actually excited me the most towards hackathon in the
yeah,
first place. That is
yeah,
one thing.
exactly.
Yes. So yeah, this actually talking about the contribution of hackathon in my journey to Adobe, to Microsoft, and to Atlassian specifically. So Atlassian actually has an entire one round that is around 1.5 hour long. So there they basically assess students on the Atlassian values that they have. So that is an hour long interview in which they basically talk to you about the kind of experiences that you have had in your life. So for example, they'll be asking you questions around, tell me about a time when you actually exhibited some leadership quality, when you were actually working on a complex problem statement and you couldn't work it, or tell me about a time when you actually misjudged things and then somehow you had to find a way to get through it. This is the questions like that, and you can answer these questions, you can have experiences only when you are actually participating in competitions,
Yeah,
and you're actually or you're participating in club and committees activities in any kind of social events basically, whether
hmm.
it is an hackathon, whether it is a club committee kind of volunteer work. So I feel in all of these categories, hackathons are something that is the most rewarding.
Yeah, I've also had similar experience while interviewing for Meta, right? I mean, it's all about they also put a lot of emphasis on how what kind of what is are you a good culture fit for the company, right? How much are you willing to take up complex problems, right? And have you done any, for example, have you messed up, right? What do you do when you know that you have messed up something, right? uh, how do you contribute in a team, right? Do you show any kind of leadership skills? That things are really important for almost every company, not just these two like Atlassian or Meta, right? I mean, yeah,
The experience in general, the learning that you get during hackathons, that is something that is worth it basically. So maybe Kaushik, can you talk about, maybe you can talk about the experience that you had during meta interviews, and what was actually the kind of discussion that happened.
Yeah, ma'am, we'd be moving to that shortly. So I would
hmm,
like to mention again that our website codeutsawa.nitrr.ac.in. Kindly visit that website, and can we have the website's banner on the screen, please? Yeah. So there's the link. Kindly go there and check out for yourselves, and the details as well as the prize money, everything is there. So kindly check it out. Now moving on, Kaushik sir,
yeah.
like just Shruti ma'am mentioned, please share your experiences about the meta interview. Also, please tell us about the foreign placement scenario and how can we apply for foreign companies.
Okay, yeah, but I Okay, I mean, I can understand that a lot of people want to apply for international companies, but I mean, it's for me, it was never really about trying to get into an international company, right? I mean, it was always about, I was always focused on uh, trying to push my boundaries, right? So let's say if I'll use X sometime, right? And there is all, I know that there is also alternate solution Y, then I will do another project where I will use Y, right? So this is the kind of approach that I've always used. So I mean, it's never really about getting an international offer. For example, जैसे फ्रंट एंड में राइट, तो फ्रंट एंड में इंडिया में कोई कंपनी ज्यादा हायर नहीं करती है, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट विद यू, फ्रेशर्स को. तो आई मीन मैंने बस सिंपली लास्ट ईयर अप्लाई कर दिया था इंटर्न के टाइम पे, राइट. आई मीन बस लिंक्स आते हैं तो मैंने वेबसाइट खोली थी तो अप्लाई कर दिया था. तो इस साल recruiter reached out to me, and we had a whole interview process thereafter. So firstly they asked like a lot of there was a questionnaire which I have to answer, basically typical behavioral type questions, typical experience type questions. What is your experience with JavaScript? What is your experience with front end? Why do you want to do front end? Why do you want to join Facebook and things like that? After that, I had a call with a recruiter which was like a 15-20 minutes call, right? So where the recruiter just asked me like 5-10 front end problems, right? Where we have to uh, these are some kind of problems or questions based on JavaScript concepts in general, right? So I have to give answers to them. Like it was kind of a quiz, right? More like a quiz. So I have to answer them as far as I go, right? And after that I had three technical rounds. First one was the phone screen, and then other two were the on-site rounds. I mean, all three of them had kind of a similar format, right? Where we had a 45-minute long interview. 7 minutes would be taken up just for the introduction, and then I have to solve two questions, or even in fact I have solved three questions in one of the round. And those questions were kind of mixed with they were data structure questions, but they had a front end slant to it, right? So you cannot solve those questions directly using C++ or anything else. The entire interview process was in actually JavaScript. There was no other option, right? Because it was a front end interview, it was front end specific. But you have to be really, really thorough with your JavaScript concepts to be too good to do good in these interviews, right? So yeah, so that was. Then after that, I've just had a behavioral round, which was a typical behavioral round, but it was different in a way that it was actually conducted by a senior engineer. So there was a lot of discussion going around the tech and all the design decisions that I made and everything like that. Right.
Kaushik, I can
Yeah.
see a
Anything else?
question from I can see a question from Divyansh in the chat. He's asking, when did you start development?
Yeah. So interestingly, मैंने कभी like first year में किया नहीं था coding. Like I mean first year से पहले कभी coding किया नहीं था. 12th तक सब PE कर रहा था. So some of you may be from some of you are maybe from Bhilai, right? तो भिलाई में मैंने 11th-12th की कोचिंग की थी. Then after that PE था मेरा सब्जेक्ट, एडिशनल सब्जेक्ट. उसके बाद मैंने C++ आके यहाँ पे थोड़ा बहुत C++ सीखा, फिर थोड़ा सा जावास्क्रिप्ट सीखा, थोड़ा सा पाइथन सीखा. फिर जावास्क्रिप्ट सीखने के बाद आई ट्राइड लाइक वनीला जावास्क्रिप्ट यूज करके एक प्रोजेक्ट बनाया, फिर jQuery यूज करके एक प्रोजेक्ट बनाया, फिर रिएक्ट यूज करके बनाया. फिर रिएक्ट में डिफरेंट डिफरेंट CSS फ्रेमवर्क जोड़ के डिफरेंट डिफरेंट आई मीन स्टोर क्या कहते जो स्टेट मैनेजमेंट के फ्रेमवर्क जोड़ के, जैसे रिडक्स हो गया, कॉन्टेक्स्ट हो गया, ये सब चीजें जोड़ जोड़ के भी प्रोजेक्ट्स बनाई. फिर ऐसे ही था मेरा प्रोसेस. आई मीन मैंने कभी ये नहीं सोचा था कि इन जनरल की ये अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी मेरे को, कि मेरा ये टारगेट नहीं था लाइफ में. बट जो चीजें मैंने की, जो चीजें मुझे पसंद थी, बस मैंने वो की, एंड इट लेड मी टू दिस.
Definitely. I think same goes for me as well. For the entire first year, I've
Yeah,
just explored
exactly.
things, different
Yeah.
backgrounds. Ke pehle as such, I didn't have any CS background too. So I mainly started
Hmm.
development in second year when I switched to Java. From C++ to Java, I switched to in second year because I was
Hmm.
having some issues with pointers. apparently. So I switched to Java, and then I started learning native Android development. So that is when I initially switched to learning development. Uh, Other than that, oh, sorry, Divyansh had already answered that. Okay, Ashish
Also,
is
ma'am,
asking.
there is a question from the audience. How do you apply for SIH? So could you please explain about the process of SIH and applying to SIH in
Okay,
detail?
sure. Sure. So basically, in SIH, as I mentioned, last to last year, earlier, what happened, like if you talk about scenario like 4 to 5 years before, the format was that everyone submitted their proposals individually, and then they used to screen through all the applications, all the proposals that they received, and then they used to, simply call out top 5-10 people for the final in the nodal centers, and that is where they conducted the entire hackathon. But now these days, after like for past 2-3 years, SIH, the government basically changed the format of SIH. AICT, sorry, AICT changed the format of SIH. So basically now what they do is they consider applications only from the colleges, right? So all the colleges, they conduct their local hackathons, like whatever the coding, whatever the local hackathon of that college is, they conduct that, and then the track winners are recommended to send their proposals to SIH. So their proposals only they get recommended for the SIH. Then again, the screening process entirely happens, and then they call out again top 5 to 10 people to nodal centers. By the way, nodal centers are distributed all over the country. So depending on the kind of organization whose problem statement you're actually working on, you will be assigned a nodal center. So in my, as Kaushik mentioned, he was assigned Varanasi as a center. For me, Bangalore was assigned as a center, but yeah, thanks to COVID, we didn't get a chance to we didn't get a chance to go there.
To travel. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this is pretty
Thanks
much.
a lot, Shruti ma'am, for your for sharing your experiences and answering the questions so aptly. Moving on, a question for Kaushik sir. So, when did you start working on projects? A question by Harshit Dharduk.
I mean, प्रोजेक्ट्स पे मैंने इन अ वे सेकंड ईयर स्टार्ट होते वक्त ही कर लिया था, राइट? थर्ड सेमेस्टर इन अ वे, राइट? विज्ञान वाज फर्स्ट मेजर प्रोजेक्ट, लाइक जो मैंने जिसमें मैंने पार्टिसिपेट किया था, जो बनाने की कोशिश की थी. तो या सेकंड ईयर से ही स्टार्ट किया था, और हर सेमेस्टर मैंने कुछ ना कुछ किया है इन अ वे. सो या
Thanks a lot, sir. Uh, One more question from Raj Motwani. So, he has asked, when can first year students apply for SIH?
Same, they can be a part of any team,
या
and if they get to win, the college will recommend their proposal. They can
या
simply form
एग्जैक्टली.
teams among themselves of first year peoples, or they can talk to their seniors, second year, third year seniors, team up with them and participate in the event. It's just like that. There is no eligibility. You just have to be enrolled in a technical course. So any
या
BTech or MTech graduate can team up, participate in Code Utsav, and their proposal will get recommended for SIH
या
if they.
और
Thanks a
बाय द
lot.
वे, सॉफ्टवेयर एंड हार्डवेयर
Yeah.
दो स्ट्रीम्स होती हैं जो जिसके
Hmm.
प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट्स होते हैं. सो आई मीन, टू पुट इट वेरी सिंपली, राइट, तुम्हें कोड सभा में कुछ 7 प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट या ऐसे कुछ मिलेंगे, राइट? इफ एनी
That's
एनी
right.
वन ऑफ यू कैन
8 to 10 रहते हैं
कंफर्म.
basically.
8 to 10 रहता है एग्जैक्टली. तो
Hmm.
हर प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट से एक टीम जाएगी, राइट? एसआईएच के लिए कॉलेज की तरफ से जो रेकमेंड होके जाएगी. तो तुम्हें सबसे पहले तो कोड सभा में परफॉर्म अच्छा करना है एंड जीतना है उसको, राइट? तुम्हें अपने डोमेन में अच्छा परफॉर्म करना है. देन आफ्टर दैट, टू बी एलिजिबल फॉर एसआईएच, वैसे फर्स्ट सेकंड थर्ड प्राइज तो होता ही है, और इस साल तो फर्स्ट सेकंड थर्ड प्राइज
अच्छा
दो
खासा
ढाई
है.
ढाई लाख रुपए है. हमें 500 रुपए मिले थे अपने टाइम में, इन a way.
No.
लाइक हजार हजार
वो
रुपए आए थे
शेयर होते
पर.
होते उतना हो जाता है
हाँ,
पर
हजार
मेंबर.
हजार रुपए आए थे कि 7,000 थे शायद, कोर्सा
7,000 was
4.0
for
में.
track prize.
हाँ,
Like
ट्रैक
original
प्राइस,
price was
या
somewhere around 10,000.
हाँ, आई मीन फर्स्ट सेकंड थर्ड के ठीक थे, फिर भी ठीक थे. हाँ, सो
Track
या.
price was 7,000.
सो इस साल तो काफी सारे, आई मीन, कैश प्राइस भी रहेगा उसमें, और काफी सारे इंटरेस्टिंग गिफ्ट्स वगैरह भी रहेंगे. सो आई थिंक काफी सही है. आई मीन, टू 2.5 lakhs इज नॉट अ स्मॉल अमाउंट, डूड. आई मीन, इतना कॉर्पोरेट्स भी नहीं देती, टू बी वेरी फेयर.
again, it is a once in a lifetime opportunity for them, and they can always
हाँ
check the website for the details. Moving on, Shruti ma'am, kindly shed some light on your experience with Atlassian and the entire interview process.
Sure. So Atlassian basically conducted an Women in Tech event at this like in last September in combination. They partnered with Girl Script. So basically, the structure was there was an online test first of all at Hackathon. But there you have to participate, and anyone who was able to solve, like, there were four questions which were supposed to be solved in 90 minutes as far as I remember, and anyone who could solve more than two problems was shortlisted. So I was able to solve like three problems fully and fourth problem partially. So I was shortlisted for the interviews too. Just after declaration of results, the next day were interview process, and there were three rounds of interview. All rounds were eliminatory in nature. So the thing was, like, you give one round of interview, and then if you get selected for further processes, you'll receive a link for the another for the next round, right? So basically, the first round was completely technical in nature. He simply asked me questions around CS fundamentals, that is operating systems, OOPS, DBMS, and some question. And there were two questions on data structures and algorithms. So it was quite the level of difficulty was lead code medium. After that, basically, the second round was on system design, low level and high level system design of. So basically, he asked me a question. The interview was very helpful. He kept dropping hints. He helped me in designing the system, and with us, we were able to design a whole system in again in a. By the way, all the three rounds of interviews were around 1 hour each. So in the duration of 1 hour, we were able to design a particular system in the second round. Then after that, on the same day, received link for the third round as well. So as I mentioned, Atlassian has this third round, which is they call the values round. So there they basically assess the candidates on the kind of experiences that he or she has had in his during his college life or in life in general, and what kind of values the person upholds, and whether his personality inclines with the values that they practice at Atlassian or not. So that was a kind of a round in which there was a senior manager. He was actually not even a senior manager. He was kind of a director of a BU. So he took my interview and he basically asked questions, as I mentioned, questions around the kind of experiences that I had. And we had this discussion. So after three rounds on the same day, they released the results in the evening.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.
So this was the process
And
of.
thanks a lot, ma'am. I hope that answers many people's questions. Now, a few questions from the audience that I have sorted out for you guys. So, the first question is, what should a first year student do to crack these kinds of opportunities? And this question is open to both of you.
What kind of opportunities, as in placement opportunities or
Yeah,
competitions and
yeah,
hackathons?
yeah, like both placement
Okay.
as well
So
as
talking about tracking.
competitions.
Yeah. So maybe first we can talk about the competitions and hackathons. So there are a lot of platforms. So these days, mostly we used to, I think me and Kaushik, for that matter, we started with Devfolio. That was the major platform in when we used to practice. But these days, I see a lot of hackathons getting hosted on Dare to Compete as well. And recently, I've figured out a platform called DevPost. So there you see a lot of universities, especially the foreign universities like Harvard and Florida University. They host their hackathons on DevPost. So you must have heard, if people are into hackathons, they would have heard about Shell Hacks. That is the official coding. That is the official hackathon of the Florida University. So that was hosted on this DevPost that I was talking about. So a lot of foreign universities, they host their hackathons on DevPost also. And since thanks to COVID, everyone can participate on that, and it's virtual, so everyone can participate. Usually these are not virtual; you have to go to the venue. But yes, because of the current scenario, these are being hosted virtually, so you can participate there
yeah.
also.
Yeah, I mean, मेरे को तो personally I feel offline hackathons are much better rather than online hackathons, right? I mean, the
Agree.
experience is something else, right?
Yes, and you get a lot of goodies too.
Yeah, a lot of goodies, lot of free t-shirt. मैंने तो बहुत टाइम तक टी-शर्ट खरीदी भी नहीं थी.
Lots of good food as well.
Yeah.
So So that
Thanks
is
a lot
another
again.
pro of hackathons. Talking about
Now,
placement opportunities.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, sorry. So talking about placement opportunities, I think LinkedIn is a very good platform. You have to be active there. You just have to keep seeing the. So basically, as the company for openings for any company open up, the employees they usually, post regarding referrals or they simply post regarding job opportunities. So you have to just be active on LinkedIn. Keep scrolling it. You'll know about the opportunities in time for sure.
thank you, ma'am. And now I have a two-parter question, basically. So, how much development is needed to reach these companies? Also, where to start the journey of web development? The
There is
question is
one
open to
thing that
both.
I'd like to point out is there is nothing as such as how much development. It's
Yeah, how much
actually a
is
skill, like how much
skill?
competitive programming is required. Yeah, how much knowledge of
Yeah,
data. It's not something that ends up somewhere. Like the
yeah,
beauty of being in tech industry is that you can never reach the end point that okay, now I have learned everything and now I'm like prepared enough to clear this bar. That
yeah,
is the beauty of
exactly.
this industry. You'll never be prepared enough. You just have to
Huh.
know that okay, this is the level of skills that I have and this how much I need to work on it. And I
Yeah,
think that's
There,
maybe
exactly.
there
Kaushik
must
can
be
answer.
a threshold of,
Yeah, same.
technical skills. So, can we talk about that?
आई
The
मीन
minimum
सी
skills
देखो
required.
आई विल लाइक मैं सिंपली समझा देता हूँ, ठीक है? कोई हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल नहीं है कि तुम्हें इतना करना है, लाइक मिनिमम तुम्हें 15 प्रोजेक्ट करना है तब तुम इस कंपनी के लिए एलिजिबल हो, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, राइट? आई मीन 10 प्रोजेक्ट करना है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। एक सिंपल सी चीज होती है कि तुम्हारे प्रोजेक्ट का इम्पैक्ट कैसा है, राइट? जो चैलेंजेस तुमने फेस किए वो कैसे थे, राइट? तो जैसे कोई प्रोजेक्ट लाइव है, राइट, मतलब जो डिप्लॉयड है उसका ऑब्वियसली इम्पैक्ट ज्यादा होगा, ठीक है? जैसे एसआईएच का, फिर सेकंड में जैसे एसआईएच का प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट था, वो सब रियल वर्ल्ड प्रॉब्लम्स थे, तो वो चैलेंजेस काफी अच्छे हैं, राइट? थर्ड चीज ये भी वो हो सकती है कि बेसिकली तुमने उसमें से क्या-क्या सीखा, वो तुम्हारे पर्सनल इस पे डिपेंड करता है। अगर तुम लेट्स से आई विल से कि थोड़ा-सा जब भी तुम प्रोजेक्ट्स बना रहे हो तो कोशिश करो कि कुछ एक नया चैलेंज तुम्हें हर बार मिले, राइट? टू कीप थिंग्स इंटरेस्टिंग, बिकॉज़ इन अ वे तुम अगर सेम टेक स्टैक यूज़ करके सिमिलर चीजें ही बना रहे हो तो उसका आई डोंट थिंक ज्यादा फायदा है। हुँ।
Thank you, sir. And just
Agree.
like you mentioned, real world problems. So, I have a question on that. How much companies focus on real world problem solving skills?
आई मीन रियल वर्ल्ड प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल इज व्हाट दैट गेट्स यू टू द इंटरव्यू, राइट? क्योंकि रेज्यूमे शॉर्ट लिस्टिंग हमेशा होती है इंटरव्यू से पहले, ऑन कैंपस में इतनी नहीं होती, बट ऑन कैंपस में वो लोग जब बिहेवियरल राउंड्स होते हैं तब वो लोग पता कर लेते हैं कि कितना अच्छा है ये आदमी वगैरह वगैरह डिस्कशन से। बट इन जनरल जो रियल वर्ल्ड प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स हैं वो सब इंपॉर्टेंट होती हैं टू गेट एन इंटरव्यू। एंड इन जनरल तुम्हारे डेटा स्ट्रक्चर एल्गोरिदम के स्किल्स भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं। या
एक्चुअली प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स जस्ट टू गेट टू द इंटरव्यू उसमें दोनों पार्ट है एक्चुअली अपना अपना डेव का एक
हाँ,
अपना रोल है सीपी और डीएसए का अपना एक रोल है
एक
डीएसए
अपना
सीपी
रोल
का
है।
रोल डेफिनेटली एंट्री लेवल पे बहुत ज्यादा होता है एक लेवल तक बहुत ज्यादा
हम्म
होता है थोड़ा सा कंपनी टू कंपनी बहुत वेरी करता है जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल
वैरी
कौशिक
करता है।
शेयर्ड हिज एक्सपीरियंस अराउंड फ्रंट एंड इंजीनियर एट मेटा तो उसके लिए बहुत
हम्म
ज्यादा डेव के अराउंड चीजें थी But for example, if
हाँ
I talk about Microsoft, or if I talk about Adobe, if I talk about Atlassian for some reason, or not only Atlassian actually, Atlassian was on actually based on Dev a lot. But still, if I talk about Microsoft, if I talk about Adobe, so my personal experience says that yes, the DSC and CP skills that I gained over the years, that was something that yes, that really helped me. तो बहुत ज्यादा
हम्म,
डिपेंड करता है कंपनी टू कंपनी एंड इट एक्चुअली डिपेंड्स ऑन आप किस पे अच्छे हो जस्ट नो दैट कि आपका किस में इंटरेस्ट है और आप
हाँ
किस
एंड
चीज में आगे जाना चाहते हो
हाँ, एक रियल वर्ल्ड इम्पैक्ट हमेशा लाने की कोशिश करना, जो भी प्रोजेक्ट क्रिएट कर रहे हो। अगर तुम वो चीज अपने प्रोफाइल में मेंटेन करके रखोगे, अपने लिंक्डइन पे, अपने रेज्यूमे में, तो मोर और लेस कुछ कुछ कंपनीज तुम्हें अप्रोच जरूर करेंगे कि तुम लाइक ये करोगे क्या। एक एक मेरे साथ हुआ ऐसा कि कई बार जब कंपनीज ने रीच आउट किया है, स्टार्टअप्स ने रीच आउट किया है कि हाँ, छोटे स्टार्टअप्स ने कि इस पे इसके लिए इंटरेस्टेड हो क्या वगैरह वगैरह, इस पोजीशन के लिए। सो या
Yeah, talking about that, I was actually reached out by Intuit for that, and because of my LinkedIn profile. So actually depends आप कहाँ पे कितना participate करते हो और कौन सी कंपनी
हाँ
के requirement आपके प्रोफाइल से incline होती है. That's it.
इंक्लाइंड होते हैं एंड थोड़ा बहुत लक पे एक फैक्टर होता है क्योंकि पूल ऑफ कैंडिडेट्स अभी इंडिया में बहुत ज्यादा है सो यू डोंट हैव टू गेट अपसेट अगर तुम्हारा नहीं हुआ किसी को और किसी का हो गया ये सब थोड़ा बहुत चलता रहता है इवेंचुअली जो अगर तुम्हें पता है कि तुम्हारे प्रोफाइल अच्छी बिल्डअप होते जा रही है तो तुम अच्छा कर लोगे लाइफ में सिंपल है अगर एंट्री लेवल में नहीं तो आगे चल के भी अच्छा कर सकते हो उसमें कोई ये वाली बात नहीं है कोई हार्ड एंड फास्ट चीज नहीं है
I
Thank you,
can
sir.
see a lot of questions around people of non-tech, non-CS branch people. They are getting good packages. You can see a lot of questions around that. So one thing that I like to mention about this is that see, if you scroll LinkedIn, you will see a lot of success story from tier 3 students, from non-CS background students who they worked on their skills and they got where they wanted to go. So yes, there are a lot of success story. So it's not that have you ever seen? They are there. You just have to find out.
या आई मीन आजकल कोई बार नहीं है कुछ कुछ कंपनीज ही बार रखती है कि बस सीएसआईटी के बच्चे बैठ सकते हैं मोस्ट ऑफ द कंपनीज आजकल बार नहीं रखती है कोई सो यू कैन जस्ट अप्लाई ऑनलाइन टेस्ट वगैरह होगा उसमें अच्छा करना है उसके लिए कॉम्पिटिटिव कोडिंग वगैरह चाहिए और अगर तुम उससे पहले भी अगर प्रोफाइल शॉर्टलिस्टिंग हो रही है तो तुम्हें तुम्हारा प्रोफाइल जो डेवलपमेंट का प्रोफाइल है वो इम्पोर्टेंट होता है समवॉट फिर जैसे श्रुति का भी एक सिस्टम डिजाइन राउंड हुआ सिस्टम डिजाइन राउंड इज ऑल अबाउट डेवलपमेंट राइट
Agree.
सो these things are always important
Okay, sir.
और
Just
Can
like you
I?
mentioned, competitive programming. So I have a question on that. So what is the
Mhm.
role of competitive programming in placements?
It's very large.
very
Actually, to be honest, it's very much like, for example, first round, just I mentioned, was the online coding test. So if you're good with competitive programming, for you it will be a cakewalk. So if you're practicing your regularly on platforms like Codeforces, it will be a cakewalk for you. I mean, like I'm just putting it that way. It will be a cakewalk for you. But so yeah,
yeah
and but that doesn't mean that you have to do it like it is mandatory for placements. It's all depends
yeah
on your
it's
interest. If you are interested in
interest
that, do pursue it. Definitely, things will get a lot simpler for you. Basically,
या लाइक जो शुरुआत के कुछ कुछ राउंड्स होता है वो काफी इजी हो जाएंगे तुम्हारे लिए अदरवाइज अगर तुमने सिर्फ डेवलपमेंट किया है तो इट वुड बी a little bit tough to pick up like कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग के जो क्वेश्चंस होते हैं क्योंकि एक मेंटल स्टेट भी होता है कि 45 मिनट्स में हमें अगर लेट्स से दो क्वेश्चन करने हैं सॉल्व कोड करके तो अगर तुमने उतना थोड़ा प्रैक्टिस नहीं किया होगा वो सब चीजें तो इट वुड बी टफ राइट सो
very tough because they
Definitely.
expect a solution that is fully optimized and it passes all the test cases. So
yeah
definitely, you'll have to get your hands on it too.
Perfect.
okay
Moving on to our second question. Uh,
Mhm.
So Harshit Dhaduk asks, can I start doing projects while I am learning any language?
Yes, you can. There are a lot of
yeah
projects that can be built
yeah
using C++ and Java and some basic database concepts. So yes, you can.
यस यू
Ashik, would
कैन
you
आई
like to
मीन
add something?
काफी सारे कोर्सेज तुम्हें यूट्यूब पे जो सर्च करो तुम्हें बहुत सारे कोर्सेज मिल जाएंगे जो वैसा सिखाते हैं राइट सो यूट्यूब इज ऑलवेज अ गुड प्लेटफॉर्म टू स्टार्ट एनीथिंग इन जनरल कॉलेज के एग्जाम्स के लिए भी यूट्यूब से काफी सारी चीजें पढ़ने को मिल जाती है राइट डाउट आउट क्लियर हो जाते हैं सो या Did you do CP in your entire journey? Like I didn't. मतलब मैंने CP स्टार्टिंग में नहीं किया था. It is something that I personally regret क्योंकि मेरे को लगता है कि मेरे को थोड़ा CP पे ध्यान देना चाहिए था. Because I would say कि जो सेकंड ईयर फर्स्ट ईयर का टाइम होता है वो CP करने के लिए बहुत सही है. ठीक है उसमें अगर तुम 6 महीने बस कॉन्स्टेंटली एक 6 महीने 8 महीने का पीरियड डेडिकेट कर लो और थोड़ा हर रोज मतलब कॉन्टेस्ट होंगे कॉन्टेस्ट तुम्हें देने हैं ठीक है कोड फोर्सेस एक बहुत अच्छी वेबसाइट है फिर A2OJ करके एक उसमें प्रॉब्लम सेट्स होते हैं सो A2OJ के प्रॉब्लम सेट्स करो वो मतलब अगर तुम कंसिस्टेंटली उसको 6 महीने करोगे ना तो तुम काफी अच्छे हो जाओगे आई मीन उसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है रोज रोज बस दो चार क्वेश्चन करते जाना है और कुछ खास नहीं है उसमें एंड और जैसे कोई नया कॉन्सेप्ट आता है तो तुम्हें ऑब्वियसली उसको सीखते हुए जाना है, ये सिंपल सी बात है। तो और इन जनरल उसके बाद जैसे प्रोफाइल की बात आती है तो उस पर डेवलपमेंट इंपॉर्टेंट होता है। तो थर्ड फोर्थ ईयर में आते आते ये एक सिंपल एक प्रॉब्लम ये होती है कि जैसे कंपनीज आना चालू होती है ना, तो कंपनीज मोस्टली डीएसए पे फोकस करती हैं जब इंटरव्यूज वगैरह होते हैं। तो डीएसए सीपी का एक हल्का सा मतलब इन अ वे सिमिलर है, बट कुछ कुछ चीजों में सिमिलर नहीं भी है।
इजियर वर्जन एक तरह से।
हाँ हाँ, इजियर वर्जन है, कुछ कुछ
मेक
चीजों में
सेंस।
सिमिलर नहीं भी है। सो तो उस टाइम पे खाली सीपी करना मुश्किल होता है क्योंकि तुम्हें हमेशा अपना फ्लो ब्रेक करना पड़ेगा, राइट। सो आई वुड से फर्स्ट सेकेंड ईयर में थोड़ा बहुत टाइम कर सकते हो और बीच बीच में प्रोजेक्ट्स वगैरह भी बना सकते हो। इट्स नॉट अ बिग डील, इतना खाली टाइम रहता है 4 साल में, खाली खाली टाइम है।
Great explanation, sir and ma'am. Now, again, another question. Dinesh Shah asks, domains we can try in Python other than AI, ML, and data science.
Okay, I don't know much about the domains. Kaushik, do you?
नो आई मीन मैंने एक बार एक पाइथन से बनाया था कुछ एनएलपी का प्रोजेक्ट, बट इट वाज नॉट रियली गुड। एंड आई मीन मेरे को नहीं लगता कि मेरे फंडामेंटल्स इतने स्ट्रांग है कि मैं उस पे एक अच्छा कॉन्क्रीट आंसर दे सकूं। तो आई
Hmm.
मीन या
Yes, it can be done together at the same time, Priyanshu, I
या
guess. It
या
can be
इट
done
कुड बी,
together at the same time.
या आई मीन इट शुड बी डन टुगेदर। ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है कि
Yeah,
एक चीज
ideally it
कर
should be done together. You should divide your
टुगेदर,
time
या
and manage your time that way. I mean, I
हाँ
regret not doing it that way. Like for me,
या
the things have
एग्जैक्टली
been like I do for like couple of months I was into DSA, and then for a couple of months I get back to projects just to recharge
प्रोजेक्ट्स,
myself.
या
That's how it
एग्जैक्टली।
worked for me. But the ideal way is to manage your time and do them parallelly.
हाँ लाइक यू नो कि जैसे अभी जैसे लेट्स से तुम्हें पता है कि अभी कोड उत्सव होने वाला है, राइट। तो अभी तुम डेवलपमेंट में थोड़ा फोकस कर सकते हो इन जनरल, लेकिन जैसे वंस कोड उत्सव खत्म हो गया उसके बाद तो तुम्हारे पास कुछ काम नहीं है ना। यू कैन डू सीपी, राइट। चिल करने से अच्छा, नेटफ्लिक्स देखने से अच्छा थोड़ा सीपी भी कर लो, राइट।
So, time
Roadmap for
management and
Android
CP
development.
are the key. Now,
या
moving on to our question from Piyush Gaur. Roadmap for Android development. Shruti ma'am, please take this question.
Okay, so basically in Android, there are a couple of frameworks that you can pick up. So there is Flutter, there is native Android, there is React Native. So the best way is to first, kind of research on these frameworks a bit, try to figure out which one of these interests you more. There are a lot of pros and cons of each of these. I won't go into details, I won't go into specifics, but I would suggest you to go through all these domains just to just explore them and understand which one interests you more. Once you have decided that, so for native Android, the basic requisite is just Java or Kotlin, if you'd like to pick up Kotlin for that. So you just need to pick any language that you will be using. For React Native, so React Native is built on React JS also. So you need to, just to get a bit, you didn't need to, just do it thoroughly and be very really good with it, but you just need to know the basics first and how the entire framework works in general. Similarly for Flutter also, so Flutter has this really good feature that if you build any app in Flutter, you'll be able to get both of, like, it's APK that will work in Android also and then the iOS version as well. So that is something that's really cool. So all of these frameworks are different in nature. Their tutorials are available on all over YouTube. So you can simply do a Google search, figure out any tutorial. So initially जब आप सर्च करोगे ना तो आपको 2-3 ट्यूटोरियल्स मिलेंगे. So you just have to प्ले 1-2 वीडियो करो, उसमें देखो बंदा कैसे बता रहा है, किसका आपको ज्यादा पसंद आ रहा है एक्सप्लेन करने का तरीका. सिंपली थोड़ा बहुत बेसिक्स देख लो, उसके बाद 2-3 प्रोजेक्ट्स बना लो, यू विल बी फाइन, यू विल बी जस्ट फाइन.
हाँ आई मीन कोई ऐसे हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल नहीं है कि तुम कैसे सीख
हाँ.
सकते हो, बट इन जनरल तुम कोई भी चीज लाइक मैं जो चीजें बता रहा हूँ कंप्लीटली फ्री में कर सकते हो। मैंने आज तक कोई पेड कोर्स लिया नहीं है, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट विथ यू। सो यूट्यूब पे जस्ट गो देयर, राइट। तुम्हें जानना है कि ये फ्रेमवर्क सीखना है मुझे, तो तुम वो फ्रेमवर्क का खोल लो, ठीक है, और तुझे बता देगा कि ये प्रीक्विटीज। अगर नहीं आता तो गो बैक, अब वो प्रीक्विटीज सीखो और फिर आओ। और फ्रेमवर्क का जो वीडियो है वो पूरा देख लेना, ट्यूटोरियल सारे देख लेना, फिर नेक्स्ट स्टेप आता है कि जब तुम बना रहे हो तो तुम्हें उसका डॉक्यूमेंटेशन को काफी हैंडी रखना पड़ेगा। तो लाइक रिएक्ट का तो काफी इजी था डॉक्यूमेंटेशन, तो मैंने पूरा पूरा पढ़ा हुआ है ऑलमोस्ट। और सिमिलरली जब डेवऑप्स का भी एक बार काम कर रहा था मैं इंटर्न के टाइम पे, तो मैंने भी एंसिबल एक टूल था जिसका डॉक्यूमेंटेशन पढ़ना था मुझे, तो वो भी मैंने पूरा पढ़ा हुआ था। तो ये सब चीजें रहती है कि डॉक्यूमेंटेशन वन पढ़ लोगे ना तो तुम्हें जो जो टूल्स हैं सारे वो सब तुम्हारे बैक ऑफ द हेड हमेशा रहेंगे, तो यू कैन जस्ट अप्लाई 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 राइट सारे के सारे एपीआईज को। या सो इट मेक्स थिंग्स रियली रियली फास्ट। या
Thank you, sir. So now we only have time for a few more questions. So let's do it quickly. First question is, did CGPA make any difference in your
It does in
placements?
on-campus placements. It does in
yeah it
on-campus placement, not
uh,
off-campus. I haven't really seen that. Once you
yeah
cleared that bar of 7 or 8 CGPA, you will be fine.
या
All
आई
right.
मीन मेरी सीजीपीए तो ओकेश है बहुत। आई मीन ओके शुड बी अंडरस्टेटमेंट आई थिंक, बट 8.3 is my CGPA, right? So yeah, I mean इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ा मेरे को, बट कुछ कुछ कंपनीज में काफी फर्क पड़ता है। डिपेंड्स अपॉन द कंपनी रियली।
Okay.
Should you go
Thank you,
for
sir.
full stack dev? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or only front
Please
end.
take the
Whatever
question, sir.
excites you. Whatever excites
या
you.
आई मीन काफी लोग फुल स्टैक भी करते हैं, काफी लोग फ्रंट एंड या कुछ लोग बैक एंड भी करते हैं। बट इन जनरल थोड़ा बहुत फुल स्टैक नॉलेज होना जरूरी है, ये बोलूंगा मैं, राइट? कुछ लोग तो हमारे कॉलेज में ऐसे भी थे जो एक हाथ से फुल फ्रंट एंड करेंगे, एक हाथ से बैक एंड टाइप के लोग, राइट? आई मीन जो गॉड लोग होते हैं। हाँ।
Another question by Harshit Daduk. How can I start with cybersecurity and ethical hacking or bug bounty?
No idea,
I
bro.
haven't tried my hands on this, but I personally feel that questions like this can be answered by a simple Google search.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now I'd like to move on to our penultimate question. After this, I'll ask my last question and then we'll wrap this up. So by Aditya Pathak, it's for DSA, how much languages like C++ and Java matters, which should be preferred?
There is not as such preference from the companies, and some companies do prefer, like they say that you need to be coding just in Java. I've seen this in a couple of companies like BNY Mellon and also Adobe for certain roles. Like I don't really remember the role name, but yes, for certain roles, Adobe also says that you're allowed only Java for the coding test, and the interviews afterwards they also happen in Java only. But as such, most of like 95% of the companies, they don't have any preference among C++ and Java. They anyways train you in whatever language they feel mostly. But yes.
बट इन जनरल जैसे मैं डोमेन स्पेसिफिक रोल्स पे जाता हूँ, फ्रंट एंड में मेरे को पूरा जावास्क्रिप्ट पे करना था। बट इन जनरल जब मैं प्रैक्टिस कर रहा था, राइट, अब मेरे को थोड़ी पता था कि 3 साल तक कि मेरे को आने वाला कोई अपॉर्चुनिटी, राइट? तो मैं सी प्लस प्लस पे ही कर रहा था, बस मैंने जंप किया जब मेरे को जरूरत पड़ी, क्योंकि मेरे को जावास्क्रिप्ट आता ही था। बस मेरे को थोड़ा सा उस पे थोड़ा सा हैंड्स ऑन होना था ज्यादा, तो मैंने हो गया, बस सिंपल।
See, basically, if you have the problem solving skills, if you have the current mindset, so language is just a tool. So if I
या
can solve a
एग्जैक्टली।
problem in C++ and someone comes to me and explains the syntax of Java to me, I'll be able to solve that in Java as well. It's just the
सिंपल।
logic that matters. The language is just a syntax. The company also understands this.
या
So yeah.
Thank you, sir. And finally, thank you, ma'am. Finally, last question to both of you guys. So, what kinds of things can we fill in the achievement section of our resume? Also, can we put hackathons as our achievements? Are they considered good enough for applying to
Yes.
for when we are applying to companies?
I mean,
Yes.
if you are winning a hackathon, then that is a good achievement, right? I mean, domain winner, winner 1, 2, 3, right? But in general, I would say कोई भी जब भी तुम कुछ विन कर रहे हो ना तभी उसको डाला। पार्टिसिपेशन का आई मीन इतना वैल्यू नहीं होता, टू बी वेरी
Huh,
ऑनेस्ट विद यू।
for sure.
बट जैसे हाँ जैसे बट कुछ कुछ हैकाथॉन्स होते हैं, फॉर एग्जांपल एसआईएच वगैरह, उसमें रीच करने के लिए इतनी मेहनत लगती है, तो ये डाल सकते हो कि यू आर ए फाइनलिस्ट इन एसआईएच, तो दैट्स I think a big
You will
deal.
see a lot of
Yeah.
LinkedIn profiles also with that ki SIH finalist, and yes, for like SIH is actually a very prestigious hackathon because that is
Yeah.
organized by a government institution, and it has such a large pool of problem statements from such
Hmm.
eminent organizations. So SIH is definitely a prominent hackathon, and if you get in a chance to be a finalist there, so that definitely qualifies as an achievement for the resume.
हाँ, या आई मीन
Other than that,
जब भी तुम्हें लगे कि तुमने बहुत सारा एफर्ट डाला है, राइट, टू गेट व्हाट, जहां तक भी तुमने पहुंचा है, राइट, तो उस चीज को तुम डाल सकते हो. आई फील मे बी यू आर नॉट ऑन द टॉप ऑफ द पिरामिड, बट लेट्स से यू आर ऑन द मिड समथिंग, सेकंड मोस्ट लेयर पे हो तुम, एंड यू नो कि तुमने बहुत सारे स्टेप्स कंप्लीट किए वहां पे पहुंचने के लिए, तो वो डाल सकते हो. आई फील.
Okay, thank you, Kaushik sir and Shruti ma'am, for sharing your experiences, valuable experiences with all of us. And of course, thanks a lot for taking out the time from your busy schedules and conducting this session for our institute. I would also like to thank Dr. Pawan Kumar Mishra sir, the faculty in charge of TCP, for giving us this platform to invite speakers and make our students acquainted with the latest technologies and which are in demand. Lastly, a big thank you to the head coordinators of TCP, Anish Gupta sir, Ashish Kumar sir, and Shivam Gupta sir, for their perseverance and extreme hard work for making this event a success. And lastly, guys, the last date for applying for Code Utsava Hackathon is 23rd Feb. Make sure you participate in huge numbers. This will be a great experience. And of course, you have a big prize pool for the event. This will be conducted on 26th and 27th of Feb. And the last day to register again is 23rd Feb. And that's it from our side, guys. Thanks a lot for joining and
थैंक यू सो
hope to see
मच.
you guys soon. Thank you,
thank
guys.
you. Bye
थैंक
bye.
यू. बाय.